I teach teens and adults. Today we're going to be talking about 40 issues new drivers face. This age group is from like 19 to 39 years old. When you're learning how to drive, and then all of us will face this at many different times in our lives. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So, anxiety about driving in heavy traffic. Normally, we all face some type of anxiety. It could be someone cutting us off. It could be driving in early traffic when the road is slick. It could be driving in Houston, Texas. This past year, I had a chance to fly down there to see a client play football. I went down there 4 different occasions. Have not been in such a heavy, densely populated area such as Houston, Texas. There were a lot of trucks. What's up, Jackson? How are you doing? So that was definitely a lot of anxiety, particularly the elevated ramps in the Houston area. If you've ever been to any part of Texas, there's a tremendous amount of traffic, tremendous amount of trucks because of the cattle industry. There are a lot of different vehicles there, a lot of different pickup trucks. So that definitely brought some anxiety to me. And then not being familiar with the area, we wanted to travel down to Kennedy Space Center, but we did not get a chance to do that. I'm doing really well, trying to get more rest, waiting for Christmas break, trying to do some different things to get ready for 2025. Just going live as much as I can, talking about driving, helping people reach their goals. So my goal is just to try to help as many people learn how to drive. Um, it's been going good, Jay. Jay, just trying to find a plan. Going to get a chance to call some people in your area and really see if we can get get you a vehicle. I think the best plan is probably going through the church, maybe contacting a local church in the area to see if maybe a member has an extra vehicle. But if you get a chance to get a car, now you got to get insurance. Now you got to get registration. Now you got to get a license plate. Now you got to get gas. So don't ask for what you want, because if you get it, now you got to have a bigger responsibility. Yes, your mom may help you and she will help you get on your feet, but you can't expect her to keep carrying you. But I think maybe you should have a conversation with your mom and say, Mom, look, here's my situation. Here's what I want to do. Is there any way that you can support me? Or do you know someone? Because there's always someone with an extra car. So let's keep the conversation going. And Jay, stay on. Jackson, stay on. And then we'll keep talking about it as we go through these things. Number two, difficult judging distance when you're parking. We all have challenges parking. We all have maybe pushed a car or bumped into a car when we're parking, right? But you got to know how to master parking, because if you park too far away from the curb, I'm talking about 12 inches or more away, you're going to get a ticket. There are a lot of downtown communities, downtown Houston, Texas, downtown Detroit, Michigan, downtown Los Angeles, California. If you're not perfectly parked, you will get a ticket. If you're on the curb, you're going to get a ticket. If you're too far away from the curb, you're going to get a ticket. So be careful when you learn how to park and park. We all have a difficult time judging distance. So you've got to practice with your backup camera. You got to practice with cones. You got to practice parallel parking. Whenever I take clients out, we practice parallel parking. The first drive, the third drive, the fifth drive. You got to know how to cut that wheel and turn all the way to the right. If you don't know how to parallel park in some states, you won't pass your driving test. It's plain and simple. So you got to know how to parallel park, stall park, angle park. Parking, I believe, is an essential skill. Now, there are a lot of cars today that have self-driving. I'm not mad, but you still need to know how to park. Next, fear of highway driving. This is deep driving. When I think of highway driving, I'm thinking over 1 hour, right? It takes you about 15 to 20 minutes just to get settled in traffic and get your right speed. Are you going to drive 65? Are you going to drive 70? Can you talk about learning how to drive as an adult? Of course, I will. And a lot of these things fit your age group because I'm talking about a 19 to 34 years old. So if you listen to these and I'll give you a situation, a story, this will help you understand the things my drivers in that 19 to 39 age group and people who are learning how to drive who are listening, this will all make sense because we want to welcome all people in who want to learn. Okay. So I would say for me, fearing how to drive, if I'm going through like a Chicago, if I'm going through a really like Iowa, I've been through there a couple of times, real flat, very windy. A time I went through Wisconsin, very cold. My van had crappy windshield wiper blades. Um, it didn't have a lot of heat. So those kind of drives are scary because you really don't have good visibility. Um, you feel like your vehicle is going to be going off the road. You're not 100% sure where you're going to go. All of these things create real life anxiety. And then you're not sure if your vehicle is going to break down because the ball joint on my van broke when I got back to my street. So my front left wheel, I believe, was towed out to the left. So basically, my van decided to break down the street from my house. Team, I was going through Wisconsin in the wintertime. I was driving on Interstate 94 in a snowstorm. My van could have broken down there and I would have been stranded. So God was definitely watching out for me. But that goes back to maintenance. If you don't have the money, Jay, I'm talking to you a second. If you don't have the money to get good tires, good brakes, windshield wiper blades, windshield wiper solvent, have your exhaust system checked, then you really should think twice about getting a car because God will give you what you want. If you really want a car, God will bless you with a car. Boom, you'll have a car. Jay, I guarantee if you go to the church and say, listen, here's my situation, pastor or minister. I'm trying to get a job. I'm trying to help my family. I need a car. I need a vehicle. It doesn't have to be the newest, doesn't have to be the best, but I need a car. I guarantee, Jay, that the pastor minister say, you know what? Let me call some of my parishioners and other fellow clergymen in the next county over. Guess what? We got a car for you. But you got to go get it. You got to get insurance and you have to have registration. So now, Jay, your car problem is solved, but the next problem is you don't have a job. So that car, you could probably go get a temporary license, get it home. How long is it going to sit there? You still have to have a job. I'm just being real with you. So you got to get that job. Listen to me. You got to get that job before you can be with me. Because my mom and dad always said, don't mess with anyone who doesn't have a job, who is not equal. So Jay, you got to get that job. Okay. I'm in a cold weather region. It's very cold right now. You're in a warm weather region. You got to get back and forth to, I don't care, McDonald's, Wendy's, I don't care. You got to work. Okay? You have to work. But you got two problems. You got three. One, your vision. Two, getting a car. And three, getting a job. I'm just being real with you. So I can help you much as I can. If we both pray and put our hands together, get this young lady a car. God, help her find a job. God, if she's truly worthy, God will make it happen. But you got to go get that boy. You got to go get it because it's not just going to drop into your lap. So, Jay, what I'm telling you, go to your local church because the church is there to serve the community. Let's keep talking about anxiety and learning how to drive from a 19 to 39-year-old. We keeping it real today, people. You got questions, you drop it in. So let's talk about this fear of driving. I told you I was coming back from Wisconsin. My van broke down the street from my house. I'm like, wow. Literally, the ball joint broke off and my tire was sideways. That could have happened when I was traveling at 60 or 70 miles. I would have crashed. Okay? You don't understand. Cold, snow, and ice. Okay? Your wipers don't even work anymore. Your heat is so high, but it's still not enough. And when you have these cold winters, if your car's not roadworthy, you won't make it. Your car's going to break down. And your mom and dad may be hundreds of miles away, and you got to be ready. You got to have the right clothes on, hat, boots, gloves, because you might have to get out and walk. No one's just going to up and rescue you. Hey, my car's broken down. I know the next motorist is going to help me. No, they're not. You're going to have a motorist who's going to do more harm to you than good. I always think of the good in people, but there are people out there who don't have your best interests in mind. That's the way I was taught. I always try to see the good in all people. Amen. If you with me, and amen, and give me a thumbs up. I will help anyone, but you got to be careful because people will prey on your kindness and weakness. Okay, so that one story was a true story. I went to Wisconsin to this chassis convention to learn about tuning race cars, and I got lost. Then I found myself again. I was an hour late. So these stories are true. You got to be ready in case your vehicle breaks down. Okay? And you got to have extra money in your pocket if it takes more gas because you're using more gas than you think. Real talk. I'm telling you real talk. Okay? Next, misunderstanding road signs. I was driving a client this weekend. They didn't know what a warning sign is. Warning signs warn you of hazardous conditions. They didn't know what a cloverleaf sign is. You can be one of the best teachers in the world, but if your students don't study road signs, pavement markings, it means nothing. This is why you need to be enrolled in a formal driver's education class. Your teacher needs to be going over road signs, driving situations, routine maintenance, having good tires, good brakes, because that's one of your responsibilities as a driver. If your brakes and tires are sketchy and you go on the road and crash, that's your fault. Why would I drive a car whose tires are really bad and then I need to go on the highway and drive 12 hours? I'm going to have a blowout. I'm going to be stranded. I don't want to rely on the kindness of others. My dad taught me that. My dad was from Alabama. Boy, you rely on yourself. That's what he told me. I'm like, okay, Dad. Right? Rely on yourself. Okay? Have extra money in your pocket. Don't rely on a debit or credit card because that could get demagnetized. You better have some cash in your pocket and a credit or debit and have some hand tools and another coat and jacket. Okay? Because you got to be prepared. Even a new car could break down. So I'm always ready just in case that car cuts off and I'm in the middle of nowhere and I'm like, who am I going to call? Am I going to have to jump a fence? Am I going to have to walk a couple miles? Is it in the summertime and I got my booty short? No, it's in the summertime and I have my shorts on. Or is it in the wintertime? Am I dressed properly? You feel me? Am I ready to go? Or is this something I could fix? Or did I knowingly drive my car or truck knowing that it was going to break down? I'm not going to put myself in that situation. Some of you will put yourself in that situation because you're so desperate. I got to meet him. I got to meet her. I got to get to this job, knowing your car's going to break down. Come on, home team. Why are you doing that? Don't do that to yourself because you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay? Real talk. I've been Saudi, right? Driving in Saudi and bad roads. Drives in my country every day, driving through all type of conditions. Haven't been to Saudi Arabia. I've talked to some people from the UAE. Sandstorms extremely warm conditions. Car can overheat. My same thing for you, brother or sister. Have some liquids in the car. Make sure your phone is charged. Um, I know cars don't rust over there. It's a different world. I've seen a lot of good videos on the beautiful area, but where there's beauty, there is danger. You feel me? Where there's beautiful faces, there's also could be dangerous places, right? So same thing for you. Let someone know where you're going. Hey, I'm going on this road. Well, I don't need to tell people where I'm going. I'm 25, I'm 30. It's just a common courtesy. Okay, so Jay, you wanted to know about this driving at a adult. Let someone know, hey, Mom, I'm going to Memphis, Tennessee. It's about a 10-hour drive. I'll call you when I get there. I'll call you halfway. Okay, baby, bye. Mom, I had a flat tire 3 hours into the drive. Someone help me change the tire, right? I can't do a Kahoot. What I will do, give me a day or two. I'll put a quizzy on my community page. It'll be active for a couple of days, and then we'll go over the quizzy. Okay, I will do a quizzy. Promise. Okay? So you got to know and be ready for all situations, because in the summer, cars can overheat, tires can blow out. In the winter, batteries won't start. Your alternator might die. Me driving to Kansas, team. Real talk. I'm driving to Kansas. See some of my friends. My alternator started dying. And if you know anything about this, if you stop driving, you're done. I was about a half an hour, 2 hours out. My headlights were flickering, light and dark, light and dark. I already knew the problem. I lost power because the alternator is not charging the battery. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then let's put, I have no idea. IDK, don't know. The alternator charges the battery up. Easy part to change, 9/16. Slide the alternator forward, unhook the alternator belt from the fan, round the crank, you disconnect it, you take it to auto parts store, $65, $75. You have to learn. You always learning. You need to have a cousin, auntie, or uncle who plays with cars. When I was growing up, a guy named Willie, amen, Willie, he was working on a Pontiac, grease monkey, that's what they call him, always working on cars. I'm there taking notes. Let me take notes. What are you doing, Willie? I'm doing this. What are you doing, Willie? I'm doing this. I'm taking notes. As a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, I'm taking notes. Willie knew how to fix cars. You feel me? I definitely need someone to teach me how to drive. Next year becoming, I hate to keep asking people. Well, when you get sick of asking, you're going to start doing something about it. Because I told you, God will provide you with the car. They'll have me call the church down in Mississippi, right? Hey, this is Driving with Myles. Who? I'm calling for one of your members in your community. Okay, talk to me. She needs a car. Here's their situation. Oh. Do you have her number? Can we talk to her? Right? Jay, I'll make the phone call for you. I'll locate some churches in your area. Hey, how you doing, Joseph? I'll make some phone calls for you. But Jay, like I said, don't ask for what you want, because you're going to get it. And then the worst thing that can happen for a car, if it sits a long time, the battery will be drained. The tires will go flat. You'll start to have rats and mice that will get into the car, right? If it sits out in an open field, now you're going to have more problems, okay? So if that car's sitting more than 6 months, and cars that sit, the tires dry rot. So Jay, you can have a car that looks good, but those tires have little cracks all the way around. I bought a 2013 SRT Jeep at night. Never should have done that. That got too caught up. Man, I got an SRT Jeep. I got the Jeep, but guess what? They have the wrong tires on the car. Should have been 295, 20, right? They were the wrong size. They were cracked, dry rotted. And I'm talking about Pirellis. And if any of you know about Pirellis, give it a thumbs up. Pirellis are a high performance tire, very expensive. I got the 2013 SRT, had the wrong tires on there. I had a blowout, run flat. I had to buy used Pirellis for a couple of years. Then I traded that in for a 2014 SRT Jeep down in Ohio. I was riding good. But what I did, I was negative. I bought a car that I was upside down. I bought a car that I really couldn't afford. You feel me? I was making great money, but who pays $1,000 for a car? Right? Who pays $1,000 for a car? This fool did. I had my SRT Jeep, powerful, beautiful, strong, but I was in over my head. I'm fast forwarding you. Bought and used Pirellis, good for about a year. I'm not trying to burn rubber. I'm trying to drive cool, chilled. Then the motor. I got an extended warranty. One of the lifters died inside the motor. This is the Hemi. My car was just out of, hey, what's up? I'm telling you, my car was just out of warranty. Little did I know, I'm fast forwarding it. What's the name? Just reach out to me on Insta, driving_with Myles. Follow me and we'll talk. I'm telling you this story because you guys want to know. You buy a used car, you better get a warranty. You better get a warranty. Driving_with Myles_. Follow me. I'll follow you back. And then we'll talk. The car was just out of warranty, and I'm not hitting on a dealership. I'm not even going to say the dealership. It's $250 just for them to look at it. Jay, you buy a high-performance vehicle, you better be ready for high-performance money, high-performance fuel, oil, tires, brakes, insurance, maintenance. Come on, team. But I was rolling good. Leather seats, sunroof, super fast. But I was over my head. I learned. Sometimes you have a hard lesson. Okay? I learned. So long story short, paid about $10,000. We pulled the motor out, took it down to my boy in Indiana, Tony Bischoff, BES Motors, right? He builds the race motors. He won a lot of the engine builders championships. He said, Myles, you've been my customer a long time. Normally, I don't work on Hemis. He said, I will do this for you. I'm like, thank you. New crank, new rods, pistons. That's, cam. It's about $10,000. Motor made about 600 horsepower. New intake. It's a lot of money. Got the motor built, put it back in, kept it about a year, sold it. I made a little bit of money, but we sold it because I knew that I was not going to keep it. And I did not want the vehicle to get over 70,000 miles. Okay, so use that journey in that story, because if you buy a used high-performance vehicle, what happens? They've been beat up, running to the ground. And I almost got a track cock. Those used ones were going for like 90,000. Team, I make good money, but I have no business buying a $90,000 car, trading my car in with negative equity. That's called stupidity, because I'm trying to roll in a track hawk. Okay? I almost bought one. My son and I saw one. Guess how fast they said on the speedometer? 167 miles an hour. Someone bought a track hawk. They took it back to the dealer. I found one. I was going to trade my SRT Jeep in. Remember, I'm negative equity. I owe like $10,000 and they wanted like 85. And I've said to myself, I'm not going to be stupid and get more in debt for another vehicle. So I bit my tongue. I said, thank you. Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. So I would have had like a $1,200 car payment. That's a house. I could afford it, but why would I do that? So learn from my lesson. It was hard, but you got to learn. Let's get, so 19 to 39 years old, you're going to buy a car you might not be able to afford. Okay. I had good credit, good money, but I don't want to spend more than half of my salary on a car. That's stupid. And someone could have stolen it because they're stealing those track hawks, scat packs, Hellcats like that. Why should I be stupid? Not going to. Okay. So struggling to maintain constant speed. Beginning drivers have a difficult time holding speed. Either they go too fast or too slow. It takes practice. So you got to learn to get on roads that you learn how to keep your speed. Okay. The only way you do that is, you might be able to use cruise control, but you got to learn how to keep your foot on that gas and hold it. And if you're driving for a long time, over 3 hours, you're going to get a cramp in your foot. You're going to get a cramp in your leg. Is the road test the same in all states? No, it's slightly different. But what I will say is you have to do some type of parking maneuver. You have to be able to make right turns and left turns. Love the question. Give it a thumbs up. You got to do right turns, left turns, lane changing, and specific to your state. Some states don't have parking on there. Some states do. You might have to reverse and do a 3-point turnaround. You might have cones. It varies from state to state. But you got to show vehicle control. You got to be able to park, make right turns, left turn, merge on the freeway. Maybe do an emergency stop. Got you. That's a good one. Trouble merging into traffic. You got to practice merging. A lot of beginners go really slow. And what happens? Cars are like, oh my God, I'm about to hit this car. Why are they going so slow? True. And they swerve out of your way. Or they slam on brakes. And you're like, oh my God. So you've got to practice merging during off-peak hours. Some of the ramps, here's what I do with my students. There are about 8 ramps. If I'm going straight on the expressway, we practice getting on the ramp, getting off, getting on, getting off. Some ramps are short. You got to pick up gas and go. Some ramps are long. You can gradually build up. You have to recognize what you need to do, when you need to do it, because sometimes there's a semi-truck in lane 1 and lane 2, and guess what? If you don't push the gas, you're going to get run over by a truck. Why? There are a lot of young, and I mean young, 90-day to less than 5-year-old truck drivers out there. Why? There's a truck driving shortage. And one of my students I just drove, his dad owns 3 trucks. His dad drives, and he's got 2 other trucks. So they stacking up money. But you got to remember, if you're driving and you get $7,000, maybe $1,000 of that is diesel fuel. Maybe you need a couple tires. They're $250 to $5. I don't know how much semi-truck drivers cost. Jay, you remember when we talked? We had a truck driver from Florida, and his mom owned a nursing home. And Jay, you told me you want to become a nurse. That was God talking. You think about that. I remember. So truck drivers make bank, but you got to pay fuel costs. You got to pay taxes. You got to keep good tires on your truck, your But if you can stay on top of your maintenance, do those oil changes, your truck will last forever. Okay? I watch a lot of YouTube videos on truck drivers, male and female. They stacking money, 21, 22, 25, 27. Hey, I'm going to do this for 10 years. I'm going to make $500,000. I'm going to buy a couple of trucks, and then I'm going to be the one giving orders. Okay? A lot of people are doing this. I love those YouTube channels with those truck drivers. Cameras all inside. They backing up, pulling up, hooking up the trailer. It's so fascinating. And then what do cars do? They cut them off. Never, ever cut off a truck. Trouble, okay, difficulty navigating roundabouts. We all struggle in roundabouts. Yield before you go into a roundabout. You got to yield. Difficulty, you got to watch tutorials. I do tutorials on roundabouts. Practice with an instructor. You see my videos, first person, third person, yielding, checking traffic. You got to look deep. And I'm not saying all of my content is like super good. My goal next year, set those goals. Jay, my goal is to get a driver's ed vehicle. And right now I feel like Tesla is the best bet for me because they're such good prices. I could get a Tesla, long range, probably a Model 3, get a wrap on there, teach people 18 and up, do the whole thing, pick you up, take you to Secretary of State, prepare you for the road test, all inclusive, set up a price. That would be very fulfilling for me. Right now, I do segment 1, segment 2. I teach teens and adults. But every time, do you do lessons? Do you do lessons? Real time. Hold on, let me drink this water. But you remember what I said, Jay? If I'm doing it for the right reasons, God will provide me with the funds I need because I have an LLC. I don't want to get in debt doing this, but the federal government wants people like me, I'm an independent contractor, to get a car, write it off, train people. That's the only way I can do it. Yep, learn how to drive. 2025 is here for you. Set those goals. Don't get depressed. Set goals. Okay? Set goals and little bitty goals, one at a time. Like all of me talking to you, telling you these real stories, motivating you, getting you ready. This is real because this is what I do every single day. I teach people how to drive. I drive on the weekend, and it's a part of my life. Do you realize my schedule set to January 15th already of 2025, right? I'm taking some days off on Christmas. You're going to see me happy, chilling, going live, but also I'm putting in work because we got bills we got to pay, okay? You got to be balanced. I can't work all the time because you'll get run down and sick. I can't chill all the time because the money's not coming in. So I try to work in balance. And the reason you see me smiling is because I'm real. It's from my heart. I'm not just making some stuff up. This is what I do, and I've been doing this for 24 years. And then Jay and Jackson, when I meet people like you, I want to help you. Anyone else who comes along to tell you there's a pathway for those 19 to 39-year-olds. You can drive. You just have to have a plan. So forgetting to check blind spots. A lot of drivers do this. They make a lane change, mirror turn signal, blind spot, you hit a car. Or in my case, when I'm driving beginners, they cut off a car and swerve. And that's really scary. So I have to tell you, look over your shoulder. If I tell you look over your right, you look over your left. If I tell you look over your left, you look over the wrong shoulder. So you have to know what shoulder you are looking over when you check your blind spot. Next, overcoming steering mistakes. Had a young lady almost crash into the curb because she turned too short. Her hands were wrong. She had them at the top of the wheel. She turned short. We almost hit the curb. I had to turn the wheel back because if she would have hit the curb, Jay, we've talked already, and we will talk again. and you are so young, you're 20 or 21, you're not going to be trapped or stuck in your situation forever. You already got your license or permit. God has done that for you. Next, you saw me on my YouTube channel and you started talking to me and I gave you my Instagram and we talked on the phone and I'm learning. So there's a pathway. You already lit a fire in me. I lit a fire in you. Don't feel down. I'm telling you reality. Remember, I'm like your uncle, your big brother. I can help you, but God is going to provide you with the car, but then you got to have a job. Because if you don't want to work or you can't work, it won't happen. I'm just being honest with you. You can get an Uber or Lyft, but if you don't have money, they're going to lock the door and call the police on you. You got to have money, Jay. And what I suggest you do, perhaps, maybe you could call social services, maybe you get a ride over there and talk to them, right? In person. Hey, Jay, you can't be scared to go outside and talk to people, no matter how you look or how you walk or whatever. You can't be scared. You got to go out because there's a good world out there. There are always haters out there. I'm being real. There's always haters out there, but you gotta brush them haters off. There's always someone, you look the wrong color. This is not for Asian, or this is not for black people, or this is not for white people. Okay, blinking yellow means proceed with caution. Blinking red means you stop. You will figure out your pathway. Jay, your pathway is 2025. Again, and I'm not giving your personal information. Again, you need to call social services because there are programs in all states. They will provide cars for people who are low income or people who are disabled or whatever the need is. But you got to go see these people in person. They got to see you because a lot of people lie. Hey, I need a car, but then they don't. So it's a responsibility, and some people aren't ready for that responsibility. Just think about that. So if you're going to get the car, you got to have a job. And you may get a car that needs a battery, 50 or 60 bucks. Might need an alternator, another 50, 60 bucks. If you don't know how to put it in, that's $150, $250. You might have to spend $500, $600 on a car before you even get a chance to drive it. Think about that. Okay? So if you have an older car, there's always a problem that it's going to mechanically break down. This is why you need to know someone that you can trust that can look at the car. Okay? If you don't know about it. It's not you just going to be spending money and they can just take advantage of you. And they take advantage of minorities and women quite a bit because you don't know about the car. Okay? You got to have someone looking out for you. Overcoming steering mistakes, you got to practice. We saw a truck. I was driving home. I made that video. Semi-truck was like all over the road. I'm like, whoa. Is this driver going to lose control? Had they been driving all day, all night? We don't know what mental state people are in when they drive. You think about this. Are they tired? Did they go through a divorce? Is their spouse cheating on them? Did their paycheck not come? Are they so tired trying to make this delivery that they got to drive for 6 more hours, 8 more hours? We don't know. So I just try to stay out of the way of other people and just go to work, come home, drive, and I try to just navigate the world step by step and being humble, and I'll help anyone, right? No ulterior motive. I don't want anything from anyone, but I will help anyone. Difficulty understanding lane rules. The middle lane is the smooth lane. Jay, if you're going to be in the left lane, you got to go fast. If you feel comfortable going fast, get to the middle lane. If you still feel uncomfortable, stay your butt in the right lane. Real talk. Because there, you still going to get pushed. In Chicago, they were doing 85 in the lane to the right. I'm like, oh, whoa. Right? They're doing 85 in the slow lane in Chicago. I was doing like 70 or 75, could barely keep up. That's a shock. Okay? And if you don't feel comfortable going that speed, then don't get on the expressway, Jay. I'm telling you the truth. Okay? And you got to be ready. It's an adventure. It makes you stronger. It makes you tougher. You can go through some challenges and obstacles in your life. You're probably saying, we're just talking about driving. It's deeper than that. And if you're here still listening, give us a thumbs up. Driving is an adventure. It makes you feel independent. It makes you feel free to travel. And if you're just driving back and forth to work, you're not really doing deep driving. I'm talking about driving to another state or several states over. Okay? And anything could happen or nothing will happen. What do I mean? A blowout. Your motor could blow up or your maintenance is sketchy. Your car could overheat. Right? Right? And I look back as you're going to learn to drive. You will. Because I'm going to keep pushing you, Jay. I'm going to keep pushing you. And we will have more talks on the phone, through Insta, because I'm going to keep pushing you and give you a pathway. And you're motivating me. Poor control or acceleration or braking. A lot of beginners stop really light. Actually, let's pretend this is the brake pedal. They only put half their foot on the brake, and then you can't stop. You got to use the ball of your foot on the brake. A lot of beginners don't do that. If you have work boots on, you really can't stop properly. You got to have thin sole shoes on. I always tell my beginners this. Struggle with parallel parking, you got to know how to park, Jay. Just pretend you're downtown, Houston, Texas, downtown, Mississippi, downtown Alabama. If you don't park properly, you're going to have a ticket on your car when you come out. Real talk. A ticket you can't afford to pay. And if you don't pay it, they're going to have a warrant for your arrest. And then if you run a light or run a yellow light, woo, they're going to pull you over. Ma'am, did you know you have a outstanding warrant for your arrest? Can you please get out of your car? No, Jackson, it's you. Jackson, I looked at my YouTube analytics. You are my number one person who supports, who comments, and I really appreciate that. I really, really do, because I can tell you care. And the next closest one is like 20 or 15. You care. And I really mean that. You must be getting something out of this to motivate you. Everyone's in a different situation. So I just want to publicly say thank you. So you got to know how to park. And imagine if you're driving a delivery truck or semi-truck. If you can't back that big rig in and back it up to the door, why are you even driving? Okay? Next, fear of not driving at night. As you get older, if your eyes get bad, it's hard. It's hard to see at night. Beginning drivers, I don't normally take them out at night anymore because they're all over the road. They can't see. And they're hugging the right. They're hugging the left. I'm not going to end up doing that to myself unless I have to get a kid done or an adult done in a certain amount of time. Night driving can be very hard, particularly for beginners, because you have to learn night vision. You got to learn how to see at night. It's called visual acuity, how clear you can see. If you can't see real clearly, you're going to run off the road. You're going to be all over the road. Many of you are like, it can't be that difficult. It's that difficult because you haven't been in a car with me driving teens and adults. They're literally going off the side of the road. You're like, let me turn this wheel back. They're literally stopping in the middle of the intersection, squeezing the brake. So by me sharing this with you, you've got to work hard to really prepare yourself. Driving at dusk initially and ensuring that your headlights are clean. So you got to make sure your headlights are clean, right? It does make a difference. Make sure your windshield is clean. Make sure you're not super tired. Overconfident can lead to risky behavior. True. New drivers are overconfident. You see some people in faster vehicles cutting in and out of traffic, overconfident. They're going to crash. I don't manifest it on anyone, but if you're driving super fast and cutting in and out, a truck's going to come over, you're going to swerve. So life is so valuable, and you don't want to take it for granted. A lot of people do. That's why that 16 to 24 year age group dies in automotive accidents. If you can make it to about 24, you probably won't die in an automotive accident. That's why your insurance is also, Jay, your insurance is going to be high because you're under 24. You do live in the country, that's a plus, but you're under 24. You're going to pay very high insurance unless you get on your mom's insurance, but she might say, no, you can't get on my insurance, baby, because that's going to make her money go up. Mom, I got a job I can pay. Maybe you and your mom are cool like that. I don't know. Maybe you just live in a house and she works and you just eat food and go in your room. Jay, I don't know. Maybe you and your mom talk every day. Hopefully you do. And you're making a plan. And your mom will help you or your cousins will help you. Okay? Don't ask, like, help me with money, but can you help me get to the DMV? Can you help me? Can you take me over to the church? Can you come in with me? Okay? Your cousin or auntie or uncle should say yes, right? But if you always have your hand up for money, can you give me money? Can you give me money? No, you're always begging for money. You're greedy. Ugh. You're my cousin and you're always begging for money? No. Okay? Hey, Uncle Auntie, can you take me to this job interview? You got a job interview? Let's go. Make sure your colors match, right? That's a different vibe, okay? Poor understanding of right-of-way rules. Beginning drivers misunderstand the right-of-way. The first car to get there is the first car to stop. If two cars come together at the same time, the car on the right has the right-of-way. If you don't understand that, you're going to fail your road test. If you don't understand that, you will crash. Go to a local mall. People still go there. We were traveling on the outer ring this weekend. People don't stop at stop signs. They get lazy. Jay, imagine you got a car from the church, you dropped $1,000 into it, got it fixed, and someone runs a light or a stop sign and hits your car. Girl, you about to choke someone. Right? You about to choke someone. People just don't care. You could have a new car or a car that's 25 years old. On the road, I see cars that are from the 2015, it's almost 2025. 2015, 10 years ago. 2010, 2000s. I see cars from the 2000s. It's almost 25 years old. And then you see some cars from the late 1990s. Because people on a budget, bro. You can't afford the new whip. Average cost of a new car is anywhere from $24 to $50K. Got to have that job. Got to have good credit. I'm serious. Okay? And we're talking about people driving from 19 to 39 years old. Okay? Poor understanding of the right-of-way. Struggle using GPS while driving. If you don't understand cardinal directions, the GPS won't really help you because you don't understand where you're going. You're going to be relying on a computer, and if you live in the mountains or a really wooded area, GPS is not going to work. You better, many of you don't even know what a map is. And they used to have maps because I did mapping activities 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And the kids, we would get maps, open them up. I would give them directions. You should have seen them looking like, whoa. Okay, measure how far you are away from Bear Mountain. What? Find it. They couldn't read a map. I'll say it again. There are a lot of people who can't read maps. I know. Are you serious? Yes, they cannot read a map, let alone GPS. You don't know your cardinal directions. So you have to learn directions. And people can also drive. Yes, you can. And you will only hold yourself back. Don't hold yourself back, Jay. Don't hold yourself back. Never let anyone hold you back. Because you're going to have those times you're going to be by yourself in the car. You're going to cry. Happy tears, sad tears, lonely tears. But then you're going to say, you know what? I got to put myself together. For my auntie, for my uncle, for my family. You'll have good days driving. You'll have bad days driving. Okay? You'll cry because your car's running so good. You'll cry because your car's running bad. And you got to know when to step out of a car and say, this is too many problems for me. I got to get something else. Okay? So you want to get the best car you can afford. Okay? You don't want to buy a car that's overpriced or underpriced. I learned that the hard way. $1,000 car payment for SRT Jeep, which is a high performance vehicle. Okay? They're overpriced. You got to shop for what you can afford. No one wants to hear that, though. Inadequate knowledge of vehicles maintenance basics. I was talking about that. Checking your oil. Fan belts. Hoses. Are they cracked? Are they dry rotted? If I'm driving in warm weather climate, the car's going to overheat. Do I have antifreeze? Is my cooling system good? Okay. Do I know what antifreeze looks like? Is my coolant black? Is it brown? You know, what's good coolant? What's a bad coolant? Do I have power steering fluid? Everyone wants to drive, but they don't want to do maintenance. What's maintenance? Checking your battery, checking the belts and hoses, checking the oil. If you got an oil leak somewhere, why are you taking your car out on the road? Okay? Think about that. Well, I don't have money to get it fixed. Well, why are you still driving? I got to get to work. No one's just going to give you something. Okay? People let you borrow a car, but if you crash it, okay? Right? Over-reliance on other drivers to make decisions. Over-reliance on other drivers to make decisions. Rely on yourself. Rely on yourself. And that's scary, but that's a part of growing up. And I get a chance to see young adults all the time. Some of them are ready to drive. Some of them are not. Some of them are scared to drive. Excuse me. Some of them are not. So you have to look at the big picture. Yes, I can get mine. I saw hope for me. And what's your opinion? Jay, I think you can. Because we had that first talk. And I'm lighting a fire under you to get a job. So, Jay, what I need you to do is find a job within a 10-mile radius. So, Jay, first, can you get to a job every day? Okay? And you're going to have to rely on someone. Maybe get a bike. I don't care. Ride a bike to work, a scooter. Get something. Jay, you got to work. You have to. You got to get, you can't just lie at home anymore. Maybe God put me here to tell you that. You can't just lay at home anymore. You got to get it yourself. Okay. My dad was not a yes man. Do you know what a yes man is? They always say yes to everything. I'm not a yes man. Okay. So you got to be able to get there. Hesitation at intersections. A lot of my beginning drivers start slowing down at intersections. They're scared. Is the light going to change? If you keep slowing down, it is going to change. Do you realize I've been lucky over these years not to have been broadsided by a car? Because once I see my driver slowing down, I'm like, no, don't slow down. I check the do not walk sign. If it's flashing, I know we're in trouble. But now you have the countdown timers. 9, 8, 7, 6. I make sure my drivers are driving at the speed limit, not going over, not going under. You got to know when that do not walk sign is flashing. Intersections are some of the most dangerous places. Poor weather, rain, snow, fog. It's been foggy the last couple of days here. A lot of my students have never seen fog. They're very scared in rain. Snow, you can forget it. We're supposed to get some snow later this week. I'll make some snow videos, but I need to leave earlier for work. It normally takes me 30 minutes, 25 minutes. It might be an hour. So I got to get up. I got to leave earlier, get my coffee, get my little breakfast, and just make sure there's gas in the car and just start it up, let it warm up, and drive. Okay? There's no race to get to work. There's no race to get home, but I want to get there safely. Okay? Poor judgment in turns. A lot of beginners make really wide turns. Going in the wrong lane, you'll fail your road test. Turn in the nearest lane. If it's a right turn, you turn in the nearest lane to the curb. If it's the left lane, you turn in the nearest lane by the double yellow. But what if it's a 3-lane triple left turn? If you're in the middle lane, stay in the middle lane. If you're in the far left lane, stay in the far left lane. You should have the ability to start and finish in the same lane. I'm talking road test prep. Some of you are ready for that road test. The reason you're listening, he's talking about the road test. And I'm talking about a 19-year-old to a 39-year-old. Okay? If you're older, a car, I believe, is more valuable because you should be working. You're going to work from maybe 17 to maybe 57, 67, then you're retiring. Okay? You can't work all your life. You can't drive all your life. You want to enjoy some time off. I drive for a living. I'm in a car all the time. Get some water. So I'm telling you the real truth. Okay, you got to have a plan. Lack of practicing emergency maneuvers. Snow and ice. A big pothole. Someone slams the brakes. And you got to be ready for these situations. You mean you got to be ready all the time? Yes. This is why you keep a better following distance. Because each of us are relying on the driver ahead of us. We are. So if you tailgate and go really fast, you're going to run a risk of hitting them. Misunderstood of vehicle dashboard indicators. Overheating. Battery not charging. I've been blessed because a lot of the OGs I knew loved cars. The Chevelle Super Sport, the Grand National, G&X, the Buicks, the 455s, the 454s, the 396s. I'm saying engine blocks, numbers, the Mustangs, the Muncie 4-speed, Ford top loader. I was fortunate enough to be around those 30 and 40-year-old guys who love cars, me as a teen. And they kind of took me under their wing and said, hey, we're going to show you how to work on cars. We're going to teach you. Bring your tools over. We're going to show you how to lash valves when you got a solid lift cam. We're going to take you to the racetrack and show you what to do. We're going to show you how to pull a motor out, put it on the engine stand. You need these tools. You got to have someone to show you. So I was blessed in that way. Okay, I'm talking real life situations. Next, misinterpreting flashing traffic lights. Flashing yellow means you proceed with caution. Flashing red means you stop. And if you misunderstood that, you're going to fail your road test. Real talk. I had a lot of people stop in the middle of the street. I'm like, no. Cars are coming. Oh, I'm sorry. I almost get ran over. Unfamiliar with sharing the road with cyclists. If you're on a bicycle, you ride with the flow of the traffic. You should be giving them a full lane. More and more communities are making bike lanes. And I may have some video of bike lanes. I have to go to a different area to video that, but I may go over there. video some bike lanes so you know. Lack of confidence in rural and less familiar areas. You got to be confident when you drive. And it comes with experience. And it comes with work. And you have to have okay, I'm gonna go drive today. I'm gonna fill up my car with gas. You gotta know how to put gas in. I'm gonna go to the downtown area. A lot of cars, a lot of traffic. I made a video in the downtown metro area. Okay. Went over to downtown Detroit, saw the Renaissance, the riverfront, really beautiful area, but also dangerous. Okay. So what is really important to understand is that people who don't drive a lot get very overwhelmed in a downtown area and unfamiliar areas. So you can't be scared to venture out. A lot of you are scared to venture out because you just stay. You don't do that deep driving. So you have to do deep driving. It's really important. So when it's really important that you drive, you will learn to deal with that deep driving. Downtown Detroit, Chicago, Dallas, Texas. You got to learn to drive in those different areas. And it's really important that you understand those driving situations so you can better adjust to what is going on and be prepared for those situations. That's what I want you to all understand, is to be prepared in those situations, because things will happen all the time that you're not prepared for. And when you're prepared for the unexpected, it's not always a surprise that you have to deal with. So I want you to be prepared. So this focuses on the 19 to 39 year age group when you're learning how to drive. I need you to watch all these videos, and then we'll go live again tomorrow. Bye.